Eric Muathe with Muathe.com. In this video, just want to share with you some interesting observation. This is at the end of trading session for June 19th, 2017. Going to take a look at some world markets with an interesting observation. Now, what you're going to notice is, and I don't know how this plays out, whether the markets are just an energy field or I don't know how it plays out. It's really interesting from a study point. But if you take a look at the following markets, let's begin with the Nifty. And we're going to be taking a look at the 30-minute charts. So you can see here, this is where it stalled recently. This break here brought the market off the recent highs on a short-term basis. And right now it is coming back to test that level there. And that's exactly where the 30-minute seems to be stalling. And also you can draw a line here connecting RSI highs for the Nifty on the 30-minute chart. Something like that. Should look something like that. So in other words, we are coming back to test those two lines. We seem to be right now unable to move above that. We shall see whether we are going to clear this line or not. Of course, if we are unable to clear those two lines, then chances are we start pulling back on this 30-minute time frame chart. And if the market is to advance higher, it needs to move above those two lines. Now keep in mind this area on the RSI on the 30-minute chart so happens to be just under 61.8. Now let's take a look at another market at the end of the close here. It is the Canadian market, and this is a 30-minute. By the way, on this 30-minute charts, I am using RSI setting of 26. That's my default for the hourly and the 30-minute chart. Just take a look at this 30-minute for the Canadian market. And you can see that this is where it's been stalling over the last couple of, let's say, weeks. And recently we've tagged this level. Again, that level happens to be at about 61.8 on the hourly at the highs here, which are the intraday highs. So there's another market showing similar type resistance on the 30-minute chart. How this plays out is interesting because you'd think these markets are not supposed to be trading at the same technical levels, but they are. If you take a look at the FTSE 30-minute at the close of the session and just draw a line, let's just draw a line around the 61.8 on the 30-minute chart. So 61.8 thereabouts. And again, we see it closed with what looks like a double top resistance on this line. As long as it is showing resistance, that's double top resistance. Again, around the 61.8 threshold. So a different market showing the same type of action on the 30-minute chart. Interestingly enough, also this here is consistent with another break of the RSI going back to this period here. And again, you can see it stalled at the highs. That was the stall point, which is this level, and it tried to move above it here and was rejected there again. And again, here we can see if this continues being rejection, chances are these are short-term highs. If the market is to advance beyond the current levels, then clearly it needs to take out the 61.8 threshold. Let's take a look at the S&P 500, which closed at fresh intraday highs, or at least was making intraday highs, all-time highs today. And we can see even at the close, we are coming back to test the same level here, which was the break. Right there. So this was the break recently, warning high. We get this short-term high here, and now we are coming back to test the same level. Now this is slightly above the 61.8 threshold, as you can see, slightly above 61.8, but still within the same area of potential resistance or breakout for a short-term move higher. Take a look at the Swedish market, and again here we have, if we just draw a line right there, slightly, if not at about 61.8. And again, another market that seemingly should be unrelated to all these other markets, but we can see we find resistance on this line of these highs. We break this trend line. There was a trend line break there, which is the highs. We try to move above it here, we are rejected off these highs, and here we are showing rejection or resistance as of right now. The more we show resistance, the more these are short-term highs. If we are going to move higher, we can also see same type of analysis as the previous charts. A breakout here would suggest an improvement in prices. Let's take a look at the emerging market ETF, the EEM. So this ETF tracks the emerging markets. And here we can see two lines. I'll draw two lines. You got topside RSI resistance coming in play right now. So that's one layer of resistance. And then we can also see that if you consider the recent highs here, figure out where the RSI broke down, which is there. So this break in the RSI corresponds with coming off the highs. We can draw our uniformity resistance line right there. And every time we tag that line and show rejection, we know that's a short-term high, which is the highs there. And then we've been back to test this level. Again, this level so happens to be, guess what? At just under 61.8. So there's another market showing similar type situation, almost identical charts across the globe or across the board. Take a look at the VGK, the ETF that tracks European market, or the FTSE. And here we can see topside RSI resistance coming in play. And again, this happens to be just under 61.8. I guess by now we should not be surprised. For some reason, and I can't explain this myself, it seems to be markets are synchronized in an odd, weird type of way. And if we draw that 61.8 threshold right there, we get interesting levels. We can see where we broke down. So the break there of the highs, that gap down, resistance on that line of these highs, and now we already shown rejection on this line of the highs of the day on Monday, June 19th, which is today. So basically what I'm trying to show you here is it makes a lot of sense to always check other markets, because sometimes you might get an idea of what's going on or what's going to happen in your markets, because it seems like markets are more synchronized than we acknowledge. Point of the story here is just make sure, even though you are trading a particular market, to always keep an eye on other markets, because sometimes they can clue you in into what is going on. Eric Muathe with Muathe.com. As always, good luck, peace, and blessings. E-A-C-S. Bum bim, ba bum bim, boom, bam, bam.